During his 2016 campaign and even as president, Mr. Trump has been as critical of this country as anything the squad has ever said.
There's Chris Wallace, and he was challenging Stephen Miller during an interview with Miller over the weekend. Now, this was a conversation about how Trump has targeted members of the squad. These are the freshman Democrats, all women of color, 3 of whom were actually born here in the United States, Ilhan Omar, who is a naturalized citizen, and Trump continues to attack them. Now, Stephen Miller bombed in this interview, and if you don't believe me, let's take a look at the first clip to give you some evidence.
Anybody who's running for office, right, left, or center, always points out where they think America can do better, where they think America needs to go. But there's a fundamental distinction between people who think that we need to lean into and strengthen America's core values, whether it be our constitutional values, the rule of law, the principles of Western civilization, or people who think that we basically need to turn America into Venezuela. For example,
wait. First, wait.
Yeah,
Wait a minute. The fact of the matter is that people can have a legitimate difference of opinion about policies, whether we want to go one way, we want to go another. Under the Constitution that you so believe in, and I believe in, the First Amendment allows everybody to say it. We're not talking about constitutional rights. The president said that President Obama has been the most ignorant president in our history. When asked about Putin, he said, there are a lot of killers. You think our country is so innocent? That isn't, his view. That's being sharply critical of the United States.
So I'm going to give you some more examples of how much Trump hates the country in just a minute. But before I do, Cenk, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, so look, Chris Wallace, as usual these days, doing a really good job of holding the Trump administration officials accountable, and they're not up to the task. So what did Stephen Miller do? He went back to, hey, if you believe in Western civilization. That's just another code word for wink, wink towards nationalists that they're trying to appeal to. Look, there's a lot of wonderful things about Western civilization. There's also wonderful things about Eastern civilization. Oh, you never hear that, right? Do you ever hear Trump people going, my God, the 5,000 years history of China, it's amazing. Eastern civilization is wonderful. No, they're always talking about Western civilization. And it's not because they actually believe the libraries built by the Romans and the Greeks were fantastic and they can't believe, the different advances of science, etc. No, it's about appealing to their white
it's about dividing
voters.
people. Let's keep it real.
Yes.
Like that kind of language is meant to divide, to draw in their heads a distinction between the United States, Europe, and the rest of the world. And it's meant to feed into the whole fear mongering that we see from the right wing all the time. That's the way that they win elections, by scaring people about the others.
Yeah. 2 more things here. One is Stephen Miller, I hate this conversation about 3 out of the 4 were born in America. That's true. And that's why telling Ayanna Pressley to go back to her country, she's African American. What the hell are you talking about? And unfortunately, a lot of African Americans do hear that, because what racist people who say that are saying is America's white and we own it. So I don't care how long you've been here. I don't care how you got here. It's my country and not yours. Not yours. You don't have the same rights as me, which is why Wallace is bringing up the Constitution. That's not what the Constitution says. And so they don't really believe in the Constitution. They believe in white nationalism. But so what that Ilhan Omar was born outside of the country? And I got a particular bone to pick here because I was born outside the country. But naturalized citizens chose America. That actually shows more patriotism than anything else. We said we don't want to be in the old country. We want to come to this country because we believe in and love the idea of America, and we want to help improve it. And
exactly.
we're 100% citizens. I don't give a rat's ass where dumbass Stephen Miller was born. The guy doesn't love America. He hates the idea of America. He wants to live in a white nationalist country. That's not what the Constitution says. That's not what our flag stands for. So Stephen Miller, pick a country on the map and get the hell out of here, because you don't believe in America. So why don't you leave?
So I just want to give you a few examples of Donald Trump's tweets. And look, the whole point of what the Trump administration is doing right now is to intimidate people into silence, basically. They do not want criticism. If there is any criticism, they'll point a finger at you and say that you're un-American. There is nothing more American than being able to speak truth to power. That's the whole point of a democracy. I mean, if you have a situation in which you are not allowed to criticize the government, then you don't live in a democracy, period. Now, Trump, back in 2014, had some pretty strong language toward the United States under the Obama administration. The United States, under President Obama, has truly become the gang that couldn't shoot straight. Everything he touches turns to garbage. So there's Trump referring to the United States as garbage.
Get out, leave right now. Go back to Scotland or wherever the hell you're from, Germany. Get out, you don't love this country. I'm just using Republican logic.
Let me give you more. We're building other countries while our own country is going to hell. Time to rebuild the USA. Tell our stupid politicians enough.
Get out.
There he is, referring to the United States as hell.
Send him back.
Disgusting. I can't believe how un-American he is.
Send him back. How dare you criticize America like that?
Remember, politicians are all talk and no action. This is another tweet from Trump. Our country is a laughing stock.
How dare you?
That is going to hell. The lobbyists and donors control all. How un-American is this guy? How the hell? Wow.
And those are good American lobbyists he's criticizing. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. Look, guys, obviously the criticism of the country when Obama was president by Republicans is perfectly acceptable. And so is the criticism of the Trump administration when they're in charge. It's called America. It's in the First Amendment. We're supposed to protest our government, and we're certainly supposed to protest lobbyists and donors and crooked politicians. But now that the Republicans have their own crooked politician in charge, they're like, no more criticism, no more criticism. Okay, look, guys, can we get agreement on this? If you ever criticize President Obama, you should leave the country because you were criticizing the American president. That's your logic. It's not my logic, it's your logic. So do you agree? Do you agree? If you ever criticize President Obama, we find any trace of that in social media or anywhere else, we get to kick you out of the country. Is that a deal? Nah, I didn't think so, right? Because you're giant hypocrites and you're idiots and you can't keep track of anything. Just the other day, you were like, oh, this country sucks, right? I mean, his hats say, the hats you wear, morons, say make America great again, because America's not great. You spit on the country while running for office, and you put on the stupid red hats. America sucks is basically what that hat says. So get the hell out, right? That's your stupid logic, own it.
Okay, I have an unimportant point to make because you keep saying logic and I keep thinking about Jesse Lee Peterson. He had an interview with Ben Burgess, and Ben Burgess recently wrote a book titled Logic for the Left, Give Them an Argument. And the question that Jesse Lee Peterson asked him was, where does logic come from? And so Ben Burgess is like, I'm not really sure what you're trying to ask. And as he's trying to answer the question, he just yells, beta.
But this is a Republican way of thinking, right? I don't care about hypocrisy. When Obama was president, I spit all over America and was super proud of it. Now that Trump's president, that's it, I'm gonna remove anybody from the country who disagrees. And you call yourself an American? You're an embarrassment to America. That's our flag, it's not yours.
And then one final important point that I want to make is, in the course of that interview, Miller regurgitated a right-wing talking point about how the left wants open borders. The squad allegedly wants open borders. I just want to read you a quick quote from AOC. We absolutely do need to make sure that our borders are secure, to make sure people are safe in passage. But what we need to realize and remember is that ICE was established in 2003, right at the same time as the Patriot Act, the AUMF, the Iraq War, and we look back at a lot of that time and legislation as a mistake now. ICE has an extrajudicial nature. It's baked into the structure of the agency, and that is why they are able to get away with black sites at our border, with the separation of children. And the quote continues. The reason why I read that to you is because no one has called for open borders. It is a talking point that is meant to fearmonger about the left, and especially about these young congresswomen who are just constantly attacked and threatened as a result of the fear-mongering coming from people like Stephen Miller.
Look, the right wing, unfortunately, these days, it wasn't always this way, and it's not always this way in every country, but it is right now in America, is built on a mountain of lies. So they just don't care. So they'll say anything about anybody without a moment's hesitation. Trump is going around saying that Ilhan Omar likes Al-Qaeda. Not even anything like taken out of context, just made it up. Just made it up, doesn't care. Now, in reality, he supports Saudi Arabia, which aids and abets Al-Qaeda and has constantly helped them. So if anyone helps Al-Qaeda, it's Donald Trump. If it's anyone who's un-American, it's people who say you shouldn't protest your government. I mean, how are you so monumentally stupid that you say the real American thing is to not protest your government and bow your head to the government? What, right? Like I put out a tweet the other day about how progressives have advanced the cause of liberty throughout American history, and we always win in the civil rights movement, in ending slavery, in gay rights, and most importantly in the American Revolution, because progressives were so tired of the established system that they literally did a physical revolution to change it, right? You should have seen how triggered the right wing get. Oh. I love that because they have no facts. And they're like, how could you say that? George Washington, he was a conservative. You know what he did? He hated the current system and he changed it completely. What? Huh? Like they're amazing. They're totally detached from reality.
Yeah.
And that's why it's not surprising that they ask questions like, where does logic come from?
Beta.
Like what you see? Click the subscribe button below and don't forget to ring the bell to never miss another video from the Young Turks.